Welcome back to this week's ARTFX Tutorial Tuesday, in which I teach you how to make electronic music with Ableton Live. Don't worry if there's more background noise in this video. It's extremely hot, so I've got my fans running at high speeds. Today's tutorial is a little short, but that's because I'm working very hard on a couple of tracks that should be released very soon. So I highly recommend watching this video in 1080p so you got a clear view of what I'm doing. Last week I showed you how to improve the intro with some filter automation and by using beat repeat. Today I'm going to add another filter to a track and add some more automation. So here we are back with my project for this track, and it sounds like this. As you can see, I turned both beat repeats back to the ins value, which I showed you in my previous tutorial. So let's start off with adding the other filters. I drag an instance of auto filter to my percussion track and I switch the filter type to a bandpass filter. This filter type only lets through a band of frequencies and cuts out everything below and above. As you can hear, it sounds completely different than the low pass filter or the high pass filter I showed in the previous video. So let's add some automation to this cutoff frequency. Select the area and click and drag the automation line down or up. Then you can double click this point at the start to remove it so you get a rammed line. I want this to go down and then back up again towards the point where the bass kicks in. Now, let's turn the auto filter off so the device on-off switch gets highlighted in our automation lane. First, I add a point at the start to indicate it's turned on. Then I add one at bar 16 to indicate it's turned off, since I don't want the bandpass filter to occur after bar 16. I can zoom in to put it on the exact location. Now, click the cutoff frequency again to highlight this knob and let's hear how it sounds right now. So the lowest point in the middle is a little too low since the percussion is barely audible at that point. So let's raise that until it sounds good. So I still don't like this automation, so let's drag the first point down to around 150 to 200 Hz, and let's hear how it sounds if we let the percussion come up gradually. So I like this a lot more, but one thing that bothers me is the snare. So I open up the drums group and take out the snare from the first part of the intro. That sounds a lot better. This also adds to the transition at bar 17, where the snares kick in for the first time. Okay, so it's still not that audible, so let's see. Okay, let's add one of my favorite plugins, Sausage Fattener, and let's squeeze this thing up just a little. I put the fatness on 3%. Now this is not much, but it really brings out the low and high frequencies. Now let's switch the filter type around. I think I like the low pass a lot more than the bandpass, so let's pick that one for now. Also, I adjust the automation line of the cutoff frequency again, so it sounds just right. Next thing to add is the mixed gel compressor preset to glue things together. I always put it in front of the chain and then at the end to see how that affects the sound. Mostly with reverbs and delays, this can really make a difference. So let's add another point to our automation by double clicking on the automation line, and let's have this come up until just under the highest frequency. To make this transition a little better, oops, I forgot that the device turns off at bar 16, so let's change that to bar 17. I select the device on from the list and drag the point to bar 17. Okay, so let's cut out the last hit in this loop, so it has a little break before the next part. Now as you can hear, it's still there. I also need to add an automation to the first beat repeats device on parameter to indicate it needs to turn off at that point, like this. So I think this sounds very good. Let's lower the volume of the percussion a little since it's a bit loud. Okay, so at bar 17 the synth kicks in. So let's turn the synths group back on. Now let's have a listen to how this sounds. So it starts really abrupt at the moment, so it would be wise to add another filter to this, which lets the synth gradually build up into the next part. Let's drop the auto filter on our synth group and turn the mode to high pass so it only lets the frequencies above the cutoff frequency pass through. Now, I add an automation to this frequency to make another ramped automation, but this one is going down instead of up, so it gradually lets more low frequencies come in. Now, I already think that I want this high pass filter to go up again at the build up, so let's add that automation for now. Now, I wanted to show you how to add sound effects too, but I'll leave that to a future tutorial. I have too many work to do with my productions this week because of upcoming releases. But don't worry, next week's video will be longer again. See you later.